Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Hopefully you're having a great day. Real quick, if there are any electrical engineers out there, please shoot me an email. I have a business proposition. Email is in the description below. As always, a major thank you to my newest patrons, Jerry, Courtney, Eric, Peter, Ian, Artem, Pat, Josh, TKO, Michael, Les, Mark, Jesse, and Young. Greatly appreciate the support. The next video I'm planning for Patreon will be some general tax principles and things to keep in mind to help you guys keep as much of your profit as possible. First up today, this is an email directly from Tesla, Model 3 and Model Y front suspension lateral link inspection. Tesla has proactively recalled certain Model 3 and Ys. The Model 3 vehicles affected are built between January 2019 and April 2021. Model Y vehicles between March 2020 and June 2021. I have included a link below to Tesla's VIN search, so you can effectively go put it in your VIN and see if it is included in this specific recall. But please note that certain customers in Europe and other locations think they may have a build in this time frame, but their VIN is not showing up on that search. So it might be good just to schedule a service appointment through Tesla to get this double checked if you think you might be included. One of the telltale signs if your vehicle is affected by this, if the fasteners become loose, you may detect abnormal noise from the front suspension. We're not aware of any crashes or injuries relating to this condition. Next up, Julia Chatterley had a very nice piece with, yet again, Mark Fields and the CEO of Uber. But more importantly, Mark Fields said that this relationship between Hertz and Uber, specifically for Tesla vehicles, could increase to 150,000 vehicles provided by Hertz to Uber over the next 3 years. But let's take a listen as to what he said.
Part of our agreement is that if this program is successful, and we believe it will, that over the next 3 years, this could grow to up to 150,000 Teslas that can be provided by Hertz to Uber as well.
So far, I've only seen 100,000 announced as the deal with Tesla. Are you saying that you're going to go back to Tesla and say, hey, we'll take more Teslas depending on what demand looks like?
Absolutely. This commitment of if the Uber program and when it's successful are up to 150,000 vehicles, clearly that will be reflected in our future orders from Tesla, just as we'll order from other OEMs that are going to be providing electric vehicles to the marketplace. I'd only mention that, listen, at the end of the day, these things have to have positive economic benefits for the company at Hertz, and it does. And in terms of your second question, these will not include the self-driving feature on the vehicles that we offer to the Uber drivers.
How confident are you that you have 50,000 drivers in the United States that will be using these cars when all are available in 2023?
Oh, we're quite confident. We actually have other electric cars on the network, and consistently we see significant demand for these kinds of cars. I think, listen, people want to help. I've always said that climate change is a team sport. And our drivers want help. So we do think that based on the demand that we've seen for electric vehicles on our network, and Tesla obviously is a great brand, it's a great product. I think if we make Teslas available, there'll be plenty of takers.
Now, next up, we have to talk about a subject that I know is going to cause a lot of emotion, and it's a political hot rod, if you will, but trying to keep the politics out of it and just kind of analyzing the situation here. I really want to spend a couple minutes talking about this, and of course I would love to hear from you guys, but we have to take a look at this one simple tweet. So Elon Musk, who made $36 billion in one day this week. I have seen this so many times on Twitter. Guys, the ignorance and the lack of understanding the stock market and things of this nature has really gotten to a level that is very alarming. When your price of a stock goes up, that doesn't mean you made money. You have artificial profits. You don't actually make money until you sell. The point being, these people are saying Elon made $36 billion in a day because Tesla's market cap went up. That's only if he sells his stock. I mean, honestly, what if Tesla's stock price tomorrow goes down 10% and Elon loses somewhere around $50 billion? What happens then? Anyway, she continues, Elon would owe just under $8 billion under my wealth tax proposal with Elizabeth Warren. Yes, he and other billionaires can afford to pay their fair share so we can fund childcare, universal pre-K, housing, and more. Now look, hear me out. I completely agree that the wealth inequality is not great. It is sad that there are so many people struggling and that the few handful of people that own trillions of dollars of wealth, I get it. It seems like it's not okay and it should be different. However, the role of the government, in my humble opinion, is to protect the people and carry out justice. Today, the government is a massively overblown, bloated, inefficient behemoth vehicle that is wasting trillions of dollars, and their reach has now extended way too far for what it was originally intended to be. Elon has often talked about who is the better allocator of capital. Me personally, I would much rather see the Bezos and Elons of the world have that access to capital to invest and deploy and create jobs and to create wealth for people, rather than to see it in the government's hands for them to squander it on whatever their topic du jour is of the week. And to me, it seems like politically there has been almost zero thought given to the actual implementation of a billionaire wealth tax or anything like that. We'll talk about it momentarily. But sure, if you want, some of the best, most innovative companies in America to move overseas and leave the US and lose thousands of great paying jobs and innovative creation, then be my guest and try to pass something like this. It's just people don't think further into the future and what something like this would actually mean when it comes to real world implications. And in case you're not familiar, just a few quick notes. Now, yes, I know somebody said that this wealth tax might not be happening, but it's definitely still at least part of the ongoing discussions. This new plan would level a 23.8% tax on the increase in stock value or the unrealized capital gain even before those assets are sold. And by the way, if they start with billionaires, well, they're going to eventually trickle down to millionaires, and before you know it, somebody making $10,000 or $20,000 from the retail market on GME or whatever else is, probably ultimately going to be taxed. But I digress. Roughly half of its potential new revenue would likely be paid by just the 10 wealthiest Americans. Elon could pay as much as $50 billion over 5 years. Bezos could pay as much as $44 million. Now, just for a second, I want you to try to put yourself in one of these individual shoes using your own tax numbers. Buffett paid $23.7 million in taxes from 2014 to 2018. He would pay about 1,000 times that number under this new proposal. Let's say you, for example, pay $10,000 a year in taxes. Well, now because the government has been recklessly spending and they need more revenue, they have decided that you, specifically you, are now going to pay 1,000 times more. So rather than paying your normal $10,000 a year, you now have to pay $10 million per year due to the government's reckless spending. And of course, Elon has feelings about the situation. He says, according to their own estimates, this tax only covers 10% of the $3.5 trillion spending bill. Where will the other 90% come from? The answer is you. And so this is the US debt clock, just the usdebtclock.org. But what I want to show you guys is the federal debt to GDP ratio. 1960, 50%, 1980, 34%, 2000, 55%. Now, 125%. So historically ranged from 30 to 50% with obvious fluctuations in between. But now we are almost double or triple that at 125%. And look, I don't want to make this rant too long, but when you talk about the spending and how reckless it has been, even simple things like this, these figures are staggering. The fossil fuel industry got $5.9 trillion in direct and indirect subsidies in 2020 alone, according to the IMF. In other words, fossil fuels are subsidized with over 5 full Tesla market caps every single year for the privilege to burn our planet. And then we have nonsense like this from Lindy Lee. Elon Musk attacking Biden over his proposed tax on billionaires. Tesla wouldn't even exist today had it not been for a $465 million bailout from Obama. Okay, well, look. Lindy, if you want to talk about bailouts, then we need to talk about GM and Ford. GM received $52 billion from the US government, but only $6.7 billion of that amount was actually considered a loan. In September 2009, Ford entered into an agreement with the Department of Energy and borrowed $5.9 billion as part of a loan program. And guess what? Even after the US government partially owned GM for a number of years and they settled and ultimately tried to close out that deal, the taxpayer loss on the GM bailout was still around $10.5 billion, the taxpayer loss. But yet, this person wants to talk about a $465 million loan that Tesla paid back in advance with interest that actually played out like an investment for the US government that, if anything, would benefit the taxpayers. So apologies for the rant. You guys know I'm usually pretty chill, but everybody has their point. And for me, it just seems like lately there's been so much ignorance, short-sightedness, unnecessary hate toward Tesla and Elon, and it just piles up and it gets to a point where it's too much and I have to say something. But I do genuinely love hearing where you guys fall on these topics, so please let me know your thoughts. You know that I will do my best to read all of them. But moving on, so we get an update on the FSD beta. The tentative plan is to have scores of 98 and above on the safety score, uploading Friday afternoon next week. If we see any concerns, uploads will pause while we investigate, so we might take a few days before everyone with 98 safety gets beta 10.4. 10.4 improves left turns across fast traffic and stopping for gates. Next up, with regard to the new spy mode that people are calling it for Tesla's new Sentry Cam footage, being able to see what's going on around your vehicle, and yes, you can actually talk through the speakers. But I just wanted to mention that this feature requires the iOS mobile app version 4.2.1 or higher, and requires premium connectivity. And just real quick, with regard to this article about Tesla to 3 trillion, it's just funny because I just uploaded a video on Patreon about Tesla to $2,500 a share, and if it's realistic, when it might be realistic. So if you're interested, check it out, but I have linked this article below. A quick note here, Herbert Diess had some very nice words for Tesla and Elon, saying, and we have to accept that Tesla sets the new benchmarks on the EV side. Not only technology-wise, but also when it comes to productivity, speed. I think it's always good to have competition. Diess also said, while the company doesn't have a new plan to cut fixed costs so far, the plant revamp will involve cutting jobs and include speeding up manufacturing time. For sure, we need some headcount reduction without specifying the size of the cuts. All right, so here we have it. Jim Cramer has some interesting, to say the least, comments about Ford coming after Tesla, and then he a little bit later kind of loses his mind. I've never been the biggest fan of Jim Cramer for a lot of reasons, but he gets a ton of media attention, so I kind of pay attention to, what he's saying. Either way, just take a watch and listen.
You're taking a bit of a victory lap, having been championing
largest
for a
position
while.
if you're a member of the club, investment club, you'll know that this is my favorite stock. He is going to challenge Musk. On the pickup truck with the electric, he is ready to bury Musk. Not unlike, he's not going to be like Chris Schiff shooting, with the shoe. Yeah, but what?
I remember that. I don't remember. We've seen it.
It's the star of the show. Detroit is back. Dividend. I love the orders. Money per vehicle. Remember, he wants to crush Musk. He hated the Teslas added to Fords. He hated that stuff, and he's just not going to sit there and take it. He's very exciting.
They're pointing out the VWs.
Right. Well, those guys, look, okay, that's true. They're completely uncool and no one wants their cars.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tesla's added more in market cap I don't know how many Fords it's added this week in market cap.
Okay. You think that Farley didn't hear that?
Meaning?
There's a lot of them. Come on, Jim. What's with Jim?
Beam him in. Come on, Jim.
I'm trying to teleport him I'm trying to teleport him the way that Zuckerberg's trying to teleport you into gaming, into being, into education. I'm not moving on. Someone in my ear moving on. I am doing a soliloquy here.
Now sure, a huge part of Cramer's job is to talk loudly, to be controversial, to be entertaining, to drive clicks and revenue and all of that. But at some point, it's just like, come on, man. But moving on, a quick note about this new Tesla speaker system. So Tesla started installing those external pedestrian warning speakers around September 2019. So if you have a car before then, you may be like Zach asking for a retrofit for the earlier cars. Next up, we get some official EPA ratings for some of the Volkswagen ID4 newer 2021 models, including the Pro and the all-wheel drive version. But as you can see, it ranges from 240 miles on the low end to 260 miles for the Pro non-all-wheel drive version. And if you compare that to Tesla, the Model Y has 326 miles of range for the long range and still 303 for the performance, and the Tesla does indeed have a smaller battery pack. And 2 quick notes on Ford. On Wednesday, it said it would reinstate its regular dividend starting in the 4th quarter this year, more than a year and a half after suspending those dividend payments during the coronavirus pandemic. And Jim Farley also said Ford would delay an over-the-air rollout of its BlueCruise hands-free highway driving system from this year until the 1st quarter of next year. And that BlueCruise system is a software-activated feature through an over-the-air update. It will cost $600 for a 3-year subscription, $200 per year, on top of the price of the hardware that will vary depending on the vehicle you buy. At launch, this BlueCruise system should allow owners to navigate more than 100,000 miles of divided highways without the need to place their hands on the steering wheel. It will later be updated to include automatic lane changing and other features. That is all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like it if you did. Hope you have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.